Welcome in, I'm Archris, and in this video, we're going to be going over Enel and the new changes you get to Enel in OP07. I gotta say, Enel has been one of my favorite leaders for a while, simply because I find it just fun to play. I know that a lot of people find it annoying to play against, but man, it's going to be really annoying to play against in OP07 for the most part. This leader, if you're unaware, is opponent's turn. Once per turn, when your life hits 0, you may add the top card of your deck to your life, then discard 1 card from your hand. So your opponent has to essentially get 3 swings in to get a lethal attack in a turn. So one of the ways that you play this is kind of like a board control deck. It's a little different than I think your typical yellow deck where you rely heavily on triggers. I don't think Enel necessarily relies on triggers. I think Enel tries to survive, control the board, and then establish big bodies, which eventually will overwhelm the opponent. So there are a fair amount of additions, and I think a couple of additions in this deck that definitely make Enel probably the best it's ever been, and absolutely the best yellow deck in the format. So before we get into what those cards are, if you find anything in this video useful or informative, please make sure to drop a like and a sub. Helps out the channel immensely. And additionally, if you'd like to talk about the One Piece card game outside of the YouTube comments, please make sure to join the Discord. The link is in the description below. Starting off, we have Charlotte Compote. This is a card from EB01, a 7-cost 9,000 power body. It's a vanilla stat line. It's like, I think, the only yellow 7-cost vanilla stat line. And the reason we have it in here is it is very strong against black yellow Luffy. I think if you're looking to face a lot of black yellow Luffy, first off, this deck does fine against it, but this card specifically will help you more so than not, because you can play the 7-cost on curve, and then it's just a 9k base swinging into Luffy for lethal when you need to go for that. Then we're running 4 of the Charlotte Flampe. This is a card from EB01. It is an on-play. You may add 1 card from the top or bottom of your life cards to your hand, draw 1 card. There will be some opponents that will look to starve you, and I think that's kind of smart for the most part. And this card helps kind of nullify that. So if you're going against like a Bonney, I think Bonney, if they play it well, will starve you so that they can have a Zoro out on the field, and you either have to trash all your life to Raigo or Kingdom Come It. So in order to avoid that, you can play your Flampes to take your life and then draw cards and get advantage that way. So I think this card is probably the best 2K you can have in the deck, besides obviously Beige. But I think that you could either put this in or Hiyori. Hiyori will stack your life, but I think in this meta, Flampe is a little bit better. Then I'm running 2 of the blocker Shirahoshi. I've seen some people run 4. I think that's a little bit much. You don't really care to play this too much. It's a great establishing blocker that you can just leave on the field so that if you feel threatened eventually later on in the game, you can just use it to block. It is when this character is KO'd by your opponent's effects, place up to 1 card from the top of your deck onto your life. This is going to be great against all of the black decks that we're going to be facing in this meta, whether it's Moria, whether it be Rob Lucci. This card will help out, just keep you alive for a turn longer. And potentially get a trigger or a body or something that you might need from it. Once again, you could run 4, but I don't think that's necessary. And Red Purple Law, this is just a 1k counter because they can just bottom deck it. Then I'm running 4 Shirahoshi, the 5-cost. This is a you hope to get it out of life trigger. It's an on-play, draw 3, trash 2, so Graceful Charity there. Nothing more said. It's just a really good value card. You could hard cast it, especially if you're playing slow, and draw 3 and kind of filter out your hand that way. But for the most part, you're hoping it comes out of life, and that's why we run 4 of them. Then we're running 4 Charlotte Katakuri, 8-cost. This is an on-play, put up to 1 character with a cost of 8 or less on the top or bottom of its owner's life area face up. So you could either recycle a Shirahoshi that came out of life for yourself, or if your opponent has a threat like a Gecko Moria or like an Isho or an 8-cost Kid, you could put those in life and stay alive a little bit longer, and it's essentially a form of removal, even if you are healing your opponent by 1. It doesn't really matter that much. Then I'm running 4 Capone Beige. This is a 2k counter that I think it's the most busted 2k counter probably in the game. The trigger says up to 1 of your opponent's leaders or characters cannot attack during this turn. If you've ever been beiged, you know what this is like. I'm sorry for that if that's ever happened to you. It stings. It stings. I gotta say, it hurts. It hurts a lot. So that's why we run 4 of them. And then I'm running 4 of the 9-cost Yamato from OP04 on play. KO up to 1 of your opponent's characters with a cost that is equal to or less than the total life of you and your opponent. Then, if you have 1 or less life, you may add up to 1 card from the top of your deck to your life area. So this used to be your biggest boss monster. It's no longer. It's a really strong card in the deck, though. and I wouldn't want to run Enel without it, simply because it does KO something. It's amazing versus Red Purple Law. Basically, you starve them out, you play the 9 cost to be able to KO a body, and then heal up, go up to 2. So that is why it is a 4, and I don't think it'll be any less of a 4 unless like we get some kind of crazy yellow card in the future that will just take over this power, but it's really hard to say like what could be better than this. Then we're running 4 Gidatsu. This is a good mid-level play to just play on the field. On play, KO up to one of your opponent's characters with a cost equal or less than their life. So with Enel, you're trying to like starve them out, I think, for the most part. You're trying to starve out your opponents. You don't really want to swing as much. Don't give them card advantage. You want the Gidatsus to really get value, especially if you are going first and they play something on 4, like a blocker or whatever it may be. You can use the Gidatsu to KO it. If someone's playing Kuzan, like maybe a Moria, you don't swing into them so that you can use the Gidatsu to KO the Kuzan. There's a lot of applications here. Gidatsu is very good, and on top of that, it is a 1K. Then we're running 4 Onami. This is an on-play, give up to one of your leaders or characters banish for this turn. That is a strong effect. However, we're really hoping to get the trigger, which is KO up to one of your opponent's 5 cost or lower characters. So that is a very, very nice trigger. If you are familiar with Thunderbolt, that this is a Thunderbolt with a counter on it, and also more of an applicable use on play. Being able to banish is also very nice if you'd like to put it on a big body, especially if you've been starving your opponent the entire game, and then you put this on, I don't know, like a Yamato that's already been established, and then you Katakuri it into life so that your opponent, if they swing into you, one of their 5 cost or lower characters gets KO'd, so then they have to swing into the Yamato, which you'll probably be able to defend. So there's some really good plays with that. Then I'm running 2 Frankie. This is one where you might want to run 12 2K counters in the deck, but I decided to run a little less, simply because we are running a lot of 0 cost event counters, as we'll get to. But Frankie is a OP07 card that says trigger, draw 1 card, then if you have 1 or less life, play this card. So oftentimes you'll be at 1 or less life, and when this comes out, you can get a free body and then also draw a card. Depending on the situation, if your hand is a little bricky, you might want to just hold on to it because it is a 2K counter. But otherwise, if your hand is looking good, you can play this out, get an extra body, apply more pressure when you are trying to either take care of the board or go more for a lethal turn. Then we're running 2 of another new card from OP07, which is Monkey D. Luffy, 5 cost. This is an activate main. You may place this character in your trash. If your life is 2 or less, KO up to one of your opponent's cost 4 or less characters, then draw 1 card. And the trigger is KO up to one of your opponent's cost 4 or less characters. So you have between Luffy and Onami, and Raigo as well, you have a couple of ways from life to KO an opponent. So it kind of punishes them for attacking you. So Luffy is definitely good, but of course the 4 cost is, I think there's a fair amount of 5 costs that you would want to take care of. So in that regard, Onami I think is slightly better. You can also play this down and have a body on board and then use that to KO an opponent's character after it swings. So yeah, Luffy's also a very good addition. And then of course, what makes this deck one of the strongest decks in OP07 is the new 10 cost Ace. This is a on play, you may add up to 1 card from the top of your deck to the top of your life. Then if you have 2 life cards or less, this character gains rush for the turn. So Yamato, of course, being the big boss monster it was insane, but sometimes with decks that have a lot of removal, 9 is not the hardest thing to get to remove. 10 is a little bit harder to remove from the game. And on top of this, having rush, just immediate pressure, is really nice. Additionally, you don't have to have the rush on it. You can, if you're at 2 life, you can heal up and go to 3. If you are higher life than 3 and you want to heal up more, go for it. It doesn't gain the rush from that, which is fine. You don't really need it in that regard if you're sitting at a comfortable life total. But if you are sitting at 2 life, you can play this down and you don't have to heal and it gets rush. So you do have a couple of options there, and I think that's really nice. And honestly, this deck, I think, needed a card like Ace, and it's one of the reasons why we've seen Enel pop off in the East. Then we're running 2 of the 7 cost Big Mom. Now this is one of these cards I'm not quite sure about. I'm back and forth on. I like the 7 cost Rush Enel in metas where there are a fair amount of KO effects. But also, Lin is just very good against some decks to pressure, especially if you're starving. They will oftentimes just give you the life, and so you can sustain yourself longer. You can get yourself to those 9 and 10 dawn turns a little bit easier without having to give up your hand. So we're running 2 here because it does have some matchups which it just sucks against. Like if you're going against Black Yellow Luffy, I don't think you'll ever really want to play this One, because the stat line of 8k is not going to be able to just alone hit into an opponent. And then two, giving them the option to trash one of their lives, which they want to do, is not good. So that is one of the reasons why we're not running 4 of here. But you could also just run like 4 of this card. You could run 4 7-cost Enels, which I've considered a lot and I think is really good and I've been playing around with. But for the sake of this video, we're running the 7-cost Linlin. Then we're running 4 of the Kingdom Come, or Raigo as it's called in the East. It's the main K up to one of your opponent's characters, no cost needed. Then trash the top of your life cards so your life total becomes 1. The trigger is KO up to one of your opponent's characters with the cost of equal to or less than your opponent's life cards. So this is like a Yamato effect out of life, which is really nice as well. And one of the things that Enel had struggled with in previous metas before EB01 was if an opponent threw down a big body like a 10-cost draw 4 Kaido or like a Doflamingo 10-cost, you had no way to answer it other than to swing into it, and that just wasn't efficient. So now with Raigo or Kingdom Come, you can just easily take care of that. And you're going to absolutely need this in some matchups, especially like green. If they throw down a Zoro, Zoro will win the game for green a lot of times. So you need to have an answer for it immediately. And so Raigo is that answer. Then to round it all out, we're running 4 of the 0-cost events. As you can see, we have a fair amount of bricks in the deck with all of the big bodies we're running. And to be able to essentially say, okay, look, I have all these big bodies, but the 0-cost event makes them 1Ks and the 0-cost event is a 2K. So your hand is usually pretty good. You're staying comfortable with this card in your hand. The other thing, the reason why it's in here at 4 is because the trigger is insane. The trigger is basically an Enel effect. And so if you have this come out of life, if you have 0 life cards, put the top card of your deck onto your life pile, then trash 1 card from your hand. If you have 0 cards in hand, it still goes off. And you can get this along with your Enel effect so that you can heal 1 from this and then heal 1 from your Enel effect at the cost of just 2 cards from hand. So really insane and very annoying to deal with. This deck is very persistent, and I think I can understand why people really just are frustrated with yellow, even though yellow is definitely beatable and I don't think the strongest per se, not the strongest deck in the format. It is definitely annoying, and I understand why people don't want to play against it. So yeah, let's take it into the sim though and see how it does. Maybe, I don't know, maybe we'll piss somebody off. Hopefully we don't. I don't want to piss anybody off, for the record, but let's take it in the sim and see how it does. Okay, Yamato in this format is definitely a pain. It definitely is a pain. It's one of those where they get a lot of Wano support, and I think that Yamato, even though Enel naturally does well against Yamato, you have to be careful about any kind of banish they might have. Because we're going to be getting hit regardless, we don't need to play down the Flampe to draw cards, because ideally we will be getting them anyway with the double attack. Okay, no good triggers, which that's fine, I suppose. I guess we go just hit him for 9. Hit him for 9. There's nothing else we can do in this turn, and I just want to take a life. I think the following turn we go Shirahoshi, right? Shirahoshi, and then we can put it back in life with Katakuri. This is going to be a tough one for them because what they end up doing here is they hit us, and we just naturally just go to 1. Banish is going to suck for us if they do banish. They don't. Fine. No trigger. Let's... I guess we just get rid of the Raigo, right? I don't think it really matters. Well, let's swing 6. Let's see what they do. If this is like a... You do this and then pass? I was going to say, if this is like a 4-cost body that comes out, then yeah, this Luffy's great here. But I don't want to play that out quite yet. Because like if it's a Onami, then that's going to be a little bit of an issue for us. Problematic for sure. Now, if they go banish here, we don't care. At this point, we don't care if there's a banish. What we do care about the banish is if they have like a Shirahoshi on top of life, and then we play, then they play the Onami and try to do banish from there. We don't want that to happen. So we just take whatever hit they have here, unless Unless they go like 5 first, because then we don't want them to essentially like play like 5 and then go like Hody Jones after that. That's a little bit of a problem. Gonna be at 8 here. Do they even swing? Like, is it worth it for them to swing? Yeah, so the new card they got was this Land of Wano Otama. So this is a 2K counter that they can search a Land of Wano card. They're also playing Hiyori to be able to cheat out like a Momo, which is really nice. Are they swinging? Yeah, didn't think so. The only thing, I don't want to swing into life. Well, first off, they can just block it. But secondly, if they take it, then I can't KO their Momo with my Yamato next turn. So just have to be careful about any kind of banish this turn. They might go like Onami, swing 9. And ideally, we're just trying to filter out our hand for better cards. Even though we do have a really good hand right now, I think if we find an ace, that'll also help us. But first, we have to play a Yamato down. So that's first things first. Hody Jones. All right. They might be swinging into my Katakuri. I think Hody Jones is like the biggest of the top end. I think we just counter out of that one. I don't feel like we need to... I feel like we don't need to do anything here. This one's going to hurt. They're going to go like 12 at the Katakuri, right? Yeah. So what we want to do here is we want them to use their blocker or at least get 2 cards out of hand. We're going to put it in life, but we want to get cards out of hand first. Yep, see? Perfect. We got a 2K and a 0-cost event. We'll put it in life and then pass the turn. Now this turn, they might go face. If they go face, then I think that's fine. I just don't want them to play another one of these Hody Jones, because if they play another Hody Jones, then that's going to be a problem for us to try to KO the Momo. So that sucks for sure. I think alternatively, they might have looked to do like a swing 5, see if I take it. If I take it, then what, you know? If I take it, do they swing with their blocker and also the Hody Jones? Go 8-8. Obviously, I could have countered out of it, but, you know, they might be considering all different options there. This feels like, okay, they put something in life. 1, 2, 3, 4. They might go, oh, you can be my samurai. Yeah. This is a good card in their deck. Good card. It's Wano, so it's searchable. Now, what happens if they just go all in, right? I think we just let it go. We take the hit. We take the hit from the Yamato this time. Cool. Go here. Go here. We just want to get cards out of hand once again. This is all we want. And 9. I imagine they're going to counter out of this. It's fine, right? We just want to get as many counters out as possible while contesting the board. And eventually, we should be okay. Now, if they go after one of these Katakuris, we just let it go. We just let this one go. Did they... Is it the top? Oh, I see what they did. They took... From the Hiyori, they took the Hody Jones and then played the Hody Jones. Got it. How many 2Ks do they have left? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. They have 6 2Ks, which means they might be running a full playset of Hiyori, Izo, and Otama. So they probably have 6 more. Interesting. Another Momo. Okay. Sure. Now, if they go after... They might go, like, all on Yamato, all on Hody, or as much as possible, distribute it evenly, and then go take out both bodies. I think if they do that, that's fine. Like, it sucks that both of the bodies will go, but I think we're not going to protect it. Yeah, we're fine with that. We go 10 to 8. Get 2 more cards out of their hand. Yeah. Jeez, they have so many 2Ks. That's actually insane how many 2Ks they have here. Now, if they go after any of these, like this could be a problem here. We'll use the trigger, no trigger. We'll use this one first. Oh, that's good. So here, they might just swing a flat 8. If they go flat 8, then I think we do we take it? Because what do they have? 9 after that? Yeah. This is like another Hody, I think. I think we can pressure them too, actually. If they go after the Yamato, I think we can pressure them. Yeah. Cool. I mean, they're playing it well. They're playing it well. This is, they clearly have a 2K counter, so we're getting this out of their hand. Now, do they have enough to protect that? They don't. But my hand size is pretty low too, so we're not in the best state right now. But if they go like a double attack banish, that does suck. I don't think I'll be able to defend it. You kind of have to pick and choose your battles here, especially if they're playing Hody Jones. With the 2 Dawn that they get off of it, it's really good. They just go like face here. I don't really know what more we could do. They have another Hody Jones. Is that a problem for us? Is it? I don't know. That's a good question. Another Hody Jones is insane. I mean, we'll gladly take the life here for sure. They might also, they potentially could go after the bodies as well, so we'll see. No trigger. I'm not going to use the trigger there, because I want them to attack with the Hody. I think we can get rid of this and this. Yeah, that's fine. Let's just go after the Hody Jones here. Go 5. They'll counter out of this one. Yeah. I mean, they probably should have, but they knew what was, the writing was on the wall there. We go 5 at face, then 9, then 10, then 10. This was actually a lot closer than I anticipated for a Yamato match. I think Yamato, you definitely have to be careful that they can cheese a win here and there. Not necessarily saying it's cheesing with when they win against Enel, but what they like to do oftentimes is play an Onami and then go double attack banish. And if you counter out of that, then they might go do it again. If you don't counter out of it, then they'll definitely do it again. The other thing is Zoro is going to be a pain to deal with if they have a Zoro in their deck, which looks like they did. Would have been the next draw. Although it would have been too late for them to play this, but if they played it on curve, that would have been really good for them. Maybe keeping the Raigo, since we had trashed all of them, would have been smart, especially knowing that there are Zoros in the Yamato deck. But 3 Hodys is a lot of pressure. Definitely good for them to do that. Yeah, I think they played it very well. They contested the board very well, got my hand size small, and then kind of pressured life once they realized, okay, how long can I keep going with this race here with Enel? So yeah, this was a close match, but I think overall it is Enel favored. Yamato is definitely stronger than it was in OP06. I think OP07, you definitely see Yamato take full advantage of the Wano package and do really well with it. So glad to see it do well here. Ooh, Dofi's going to be an interesting one because they can hurt her hand really, really badly. So I think this is actually, to be honest, like an ideal hand to keep. Even though we don't have any early plays, it's okay. What we can do is like chain aces, but we also have to keep in mind that this deck, Doflamingo, plays pudding, and we don't want to play into that. So we're not going to be playing the flampe here. We're going to pass and just kind of keep our hand at like a 6 to 7 so that we're not sitting at like 9 cards and then they feel like they need to pudding us. Okay, that, oh wow, that was a blind one too. Well, there you go. GG. Let's just swing 5. I don't really care to like swing huge. I would rather them just get cards out of hand. That's fine for me. Like you could go 9 there and that's like maybe a play you could have, but I don't want them to have more cards in hand. That's the thing. So what do we do here? They swing 5. Okay, Gadatsu's perfect. We go here. We just go 6. Gadatsu was a great draw. Amazing draw there. I think next turn we can go... We can play this. Looking at 2 cards in hand. Wow. Okay. That's fine. If one of those 2 cards is pudding, I'm going to be so upset. 7, and then I think we just counter, or we just go into their body. We just like try to hit their body as much as possible. We'll have to take it. Damn. That is, I mean, this is a perfect pudding hand for them, unfortunately. We'll go 5 here. They'll probably counter out of this one. 7, they'll probably block. Oh. Okay. They just block straight up. Ha! What? They're countering out of that? Okay, alrighty. Well, let's just make sure that we survive, I suppose. Let's make sure that they don't... that it was the last card in their hand was pudding. What's the chances of that? Insane. Insane. Okay. We're gonna do this. We're gonna go banish. And put this back in life. Man, our hand was looking so good until they played that pudding. Oh, so sad. I guess what we could do is like play a Gadatsu into Shirahoshi. But yeah, that was, I mean, rough. Feels rough, man. Yeah, we don't care if they swing into the bodies. Really don't. Let's see what they do here. That 7 cost was pretty good, I would imagine. Like for us, overall, it's pretty good. Did they mean to pass? I think that they were playing it like okay. Like that definitely hurt. That pudding definitely hurt. But like if they come in and swing with all these bodies, we're okay. Like the stuff in their hand is not good. The Onami hits one of these. We can probably just stay alive, right? I don't know if we use the Frankie. I think we keep the Frankie. The Onami hits one of these. Frankie comes into our hand. I think we pass the other Onami. And then the following turn we go like a Datsu to get rid of nothing. Never mind. We go like Raigo, and we just take care of the board from there. Yeah, that was interesting though. I think that they had like the right idea. I started off this specific game saying we have to make sure that our hand is at 6 or 7, but I didn't do that. That was my fault. That was my fault. Okay, against blue Doflamingo, they're going first. I think this hand is okay. We have a Gadatsu and we have a 10 drop. One of the things we have to remember here is to counter out as much as possible. We're not going to use the Charlotte Flampe because we don't want to give them an incentive to play the pudding. This next turn, I think we can take this first hit, and then the next turn, knowing they have a blocker, we just need to get rid of the blocker. So Onami is a great way to make them use the blocker. So we use Onami on our leader, we swing 7, and they're not going to want to take a banish hit. Okay, we go here, banish, boom, 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 boom. Also, Luffy's really good in this matchup once we get down to 2. So yeah, they're going to block. What? What? I'm surprised they didn't block that one. That's, alrighty. Sure. Jinbei into what? Yeah, Weevil, that's fine. I think we counter out of this one. We don't show them the beige because we don't want them to know how many are in life. Go here and pass. The following turn, we can actually Katakuri the Onami back into life, depending on where we're at. Yeah. I think we counter out of, if they go like 5 with the Jinbei, I think that's fine to counter out of that one. And then if they go 7 with their leader, then we take that. And we'll be at 6, right? We'll be at 6. Okay, that's fine. We don't really have a use for the Shirahoshi, to be fair. Like, this matchup's just like whatever. We'll go 5. Once again, we don't care about Gadatsu. Like, if Gadatsu gets KO'd, that's fine. We don't fight over it. We just use it as a tool to take cards from the opponent or take bodies from the opponent. So let's put the Onami back into life with the Katakuri. They're 100% going to swing into the Gadatsu because they don't want to swing into the Onami. And that's fine. Them swinging into the Gadatsu, like, that is whatever. The following turn, we can go Yamato, and I think Yamato is better than Ace in this case, because even though we're not going to heal off of the Yamato, we will be able to KO something on the field. Okay. Red Rock it is, that's 1 out of the way, but they're not establishing a body right now, so that's fine with me. Yep, that's fine. And I think we can just go like 6, right? Are they actually thinking about countering out of this one? No way. That was one of those where it's like, yeah, darned if you do, darned if you don't. Like, you have to swing, right? But if you don't, then I'm just going to play a Yamato and KO your unit. Which it didn't matter if they swung it or not, but I guess it was a matter of which unit do you want KO'd. And I think we're doing a great job right now of keeping our hand at a reasonable amount. Yeah, this is one of those where swing 6, they can't counter out of it. The pudding's in life, which is nice. But the next turn they play Kaido. We don't actually have an answer to the Kaido. So yeah, anyway. We played against 2 Doflamingos here. Both of them were kind of like on the verge of potentially doing something crazy, but I think Enel, in the long run, will probably win most of these games. The mirror matchup is definitely, I don't know how this one goes, to be quite honest. It used to be whoever dropped the most Yamatos, but now, is it whoever drops the most aces? Who knows? Actually don't know. I could have used the second Flampe, but I think I just want to keep a 2k in hand for later. We're only running 10 as opposed to like 12, you know? So I think that's take the hit. What do we want to do here? I think we actually want to try to go Onami. Go Onami and swing 7. Sometimes people will just take the hit. Like, honestly, as a Enel, I don't really mind banish that much. But I know a lot of people... Ooh. Oh. Beautiful. Beautiful banish. That's exactly what we wanted, not on the field. I know a lot of people are like really weird about banish. I think we could just play our own Gadatsu and then pass. We're not going to swing in because we don't want to give them, one, a lot of cards, and then two, we don't want them to be in a range where they can either Yamato heal back up and get value. I think we get rid of this. I don't think we need this. We can just heal off the Katakuri. Grant the opponent a life. Boom. We'll go here. Put the Big Mom into their own life. And then, I mean, they could play a Yamato here and KO either of these bodies. It doesn't really matter, to be honest. Like, when I'm playing Enel, the smaller bodies here, I don't care about as much. I just don't. Yeah, I just don't. We'll go 9 into 6. Get rid of their board. And then we can start putting up big bodies of our own. We'll pass. Because if they Raigo with 5 cards in life, that's pretty nuts, to be fair. We want to Raigo either the Yamatos or the Aces if we can. They're not going to swing into us because they don't want to, unless they have like a rush unit, but them running the 7-cost Big Mom kind of means that they're not running rush units, I think. Could be wrong. I wonder what this is. Could it be a 4-cost? Cracker. Okay. Interesting. Let's just see what they get out of life. Okay. What do we care about? I think we care less about this. I don't care if they heal, by the way. Like, the stuff that heals them, I'm like, sure. Yeah, absolutely. Heal back up. I don't really care. That's fine for me. Cracker is going to hit us for 7, so that means we're not facing a Yamato or an Ace. I want to use the trigger, but the problem is, like, I don't really want to use it, to be quite fair. Let's go ahead and do this. Gain 1 and then pass. And then we just start establishing aces. Like, ace is going to be a problem for them. They're probably not going to feel very, like, incentivized to swing into us if that's the case, without establishing bodies of their own. What we would like is maybe another Katakuri of our own. Or a Yamato. If we get a Yamato... Oh, what? What? 1, 6... No trigger. That's fine. These are actually better in hand. No trigger. Let's put out the... Probably a Luffy, since we already have a second one. And then we can actually just take care of this board here. Yeah, we're not going to counter out of this. That was a waste. Like, I'm fine taking this hit. Like, we can just heal up. Let's go 5 here. We'll just eat at their hand. They'll probably counter out of this one. They I don't know if they'll counter out of the second one. Oh. Go 10 to face. Okay. Another 10 to face. Okay. Kikunojo's good. Now, what do we do here? Do we go like... I mean, they probably are going to try to pressure us pretty hard this turn with the Kikunojo and Enel. Just because I don't know what they're going to do, let's counter out. We don't need the 7 cost. Okay. Let's go 6 at the Kikunojo. Let's go boom. And let's go boom. Cool. And then the following turn, we might be able to put the Onami back in life. And we can cycle the Onami back into hand. It doesn't have to KO something, which is really nice. It can be one of those things where it's like... It's tough. Go 5 here. I think we can start swinging in, to be honest. Go 9 there. 10. Okay, and then we're gonna leave them there, and we're gonna put this at the bottom. Yeah, so our board's pretty nice right now. Our board's looking really good. We have a lot of counter in hand. None of these really matter except for like the Onami. The Onami's probably our best play here. They're gonna go Katakuri to probably Katakuri our Katakuri. That's fine. Just a cycle of the same stuff. Woo! We go 5, they take it. Go 9, they take it. They take the 10, they take the 10. We can actually put them to 0. I feel like this Enel's like, yeah, I'll take it. I'll take whatever I can get. 10 or... They might have counter by this point because they have taken a lot of life. Okay. They ditched the Big Mom. By the way, I've drawn like... We've both drawn half of our decks, which is insane. Yeah, and then they just counter out of this one. Probably. They can't Raigo. They have to play like their own... either Yamato or Ace, but I think I saw them ditch a Yamato. Yeah, that's a tough one because at that point, like, look at the board. What can they do? We kept them at a high life total because we didn't want them to Raigo our stuff, and they got us to 1 life, which at 1 life, we're pretty comfortable like using the Raigo to clear the board for the bigger bodies, and then the following turn, if they don't have anything that's really threatening, we can just start establishing our own stuff. We are going against Bonney, and I think Bonney is going to be a good test for us. This is a deck that... Oh, let's keep this hand. I think the hand is okay. We typically will want to keep like a big body or 2 in our hand. And then also look for like a Raigo. Let's use the Flampe because we don't know if they're going to starve us or not. We don't want to be starved, which... Who does? But ideally, this is a test for us because... Bonney can do pretty well against us. This is at 1 or less? Okay, so no trigger. Keep it. Ooh. Okay, we can actually clear both of these bodies now. So let's do this. Let's go easy 3-1. And I mean, we don't have anything else, so we're just gonna be cheeky and swing 7. Now this next turn, it could be a Cavendish turn for them. That would suck for us. We don't really care to have Cavendish on the field. They go here. They don't go there. Wow. I am shocked. Yeah, Cavendish, definitely a pain. Let's go here. Let's go, boom. 1, 2, 3, 4. Go 9. Banish. They might rest one of these. Doesn't really matter to me, to be fair. We have the Rygo, so that's also good for us. No way. No way. They countered out of that? That's insane. Let's go. We got all those cards out of hand. I don't think that's worth it. I don't think that's ever worth it. We go Hawkins. I mean, we'll take it, sure. What do we get rid of? The Luffy? Probably the Luffy. Our hand is stacked. That is insane, man. Let's go here. Let's go Katakuri. Flampe. And we'll get the 2K back in hand. And then the following turn, what we can do is we can KO the Cavendish. Yeah, we'll just do that. We'll KO the Cavendish. This could also be, what, a Zoro play? Kid. Kid is interesting. If they play a 2-drop, then I think they don't play anything with it. Oh, this is a rough one. I think we use it. I think we get rid of the Cavendish. We put that in life. They have a lot of life. They're probably feeling pretty good right now. That's, I mean, understandable. Another Cavendish. Okay, we can pop that with the Yamato. That's fine. Totally do that. Question is, do they go all in? I don't think we need this Big Mom. I think we can get rid of this one. We also might be able to get rid of this. Keep a bunch of 2Ks in hand. Second Hawkins is pretty annoying, yeah. Cool. And then this next turn, what we can do is they might have a 10-drop ready for us. Like when we start swinging. Oh, wow. It's not bad. I don't think Yamato is necessarily really good here. We'll get rid of this. Yeah, let's get rid of this. They might swing in with this Hawkins too. We also have to be careful of any... they might have like a Hody Jones, so got to be careful about that too. Especially if they swing with this. Oh, if they do 10, then we can counter out of the Hody. Easily. Okay, cool. Now we just pressure them pretty hard. We just go like 8 to 7. We just get rid of these bodies. Ouch. Was that a misclick? I think we can swing in. I think we can swing in for 1. Yeah. So yeah, at that point, what do? It's really hard for them to do anything. I think for them, they really want to look for like the Zoro or like a 10-drop. I don't know if they're running 10-drop though. They're running 8-drop, which they are running the Baby 5 Searcher, right? Oh, they are running 10-drop. They are running 10. Okay, cool. They didn't see it. They might not be running the 9-drop though, the Zoro. So yeah, you just have to play really slow. Be patient. Know your out Snow you should be countering, and just try to establish bodies. I don't really care to swing too much into them, to be fair. You can. It's not like a bad thing to do, but I just like to starve my opponent as much as possible. This is also going to be a really annoying trigger for them to have to deal with. So anyway, yeah, nice. So overall, I think Enel, as you can see, is in a pretty good spot in this meta. It is one of the stronger decks you can choose and probably one of the easier decks to pilot, although there are some micro decisions that will matter once you get to like the later stages of the game, like what you should be doing as far as like countering out, or like should you use an ability here, or should you use whatever it may be. There are some small little micro decisions to be made. I'm not saying the deck is entirely brainless, because I think a lot of people do think that Enel is a little bit more of a brainless yellow deck, which, to be fair, like yellow does seem to have that connotation attached to it. But I think here in 07, Enel becomes a little bit more of a powerhouse. Obviously, the games tonight, there were, with the Dofi games, the two different Dofi players, we started off playing it correctly, and obviously the opponent made a little bit of a blunder, at least in the second match. And then the first match, we made a blunder by not even like countering out of anything. That's the one thing you should keep in mind with blue, is that they do have pudding, so that's a problem there. Some of the matchups that are going to be bad for you will be Lucci. We didn't come across any Lucci, unfortunately, so that's going to be a problem, but you will do really well against Black Yellow Luffy. You'll do decently well against Red Purple Law if you play a Starve game, I think. Although, to be fair, people do say that with Enel versus Red Purple Law, if you have the Starve game going on, they can just play like Queen, they can just play like Miss All Sunday to draw a card to replace it, they can play, what is the other one, Reiju, so like there's different ways for them to like fill up their hand now, so it's a little bit harder to starve them, but I still think that's the correct way to go about the matchup, because you can just starve them out and then play Yamato back-to-back, or like heal back up with Ace. But yeah, overall, the matchups we saw tonight, I think, represented the deck what it's supposed to do very well, even if they weren't, like some of the games were kind of like a little bit of a blunder. But I think overall, Enel, regardless, is a strong deck. If you're looking for a deck that is easier to pilot and going into a bigger tournament, you need a deck that is very consistent, which I think Enel is a consistent, easy to pilot deck. This deck might be for you. Well, anyway, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next video.